Hi, hello. What's up, everyone? Welcome to Intentional Oversharing with me, your host, Neely Kimmy, as always. Um, it's been a couple of weeks since I recorded an episode. Um, it's been quite an eventful couple of weeks. Today is the 5th of February. And so for my fellow Americans that are listening to this, and also anybody else that might be listening in, it's been a pretty busy, um, you know, couple of weeks since the inauguration. Um, I wanted to make sure to say happy Black History Month, despite whatever has been going on, whatever kind of rhetoric is being spread around. We're not going to forget about Black History Month. We're not going to do that. So wanted to make sure to mention that. I haven't recorded an episode in a while for a couple of reasons. First reason, there I recorded back in, it was either November or December, a podcast episode with Nicole Ayers for the Jumpsuiters podcast. I recorded that a couple of months ago with Nicole. We were talking about our ketamine experiences, which is super cool. So after my last episode with Julia, the episode with Nicole came out on the Jumpsuiters podcast, and I just took that as an opportunity to skip recording my own episode for the week since there was some content coming out. Be sure to check that episode out. Nicole and I both go super in depth with our experiences with doing ketamine assisted psychotherapy, and it's a super interesting, I've found it to be a very interesting episode and conversation. So definitely check that out if you get a chance to. I added it to the playlist for the Intentional Oversharing podcast on YouTube. So check that out. Let me know what you think. Um, so that's one reason is I had some pretty exciting content coming out last week. And then also this week I was contemplating what to talk about, and I was thinking about dedicating an episode to talking about fucking politics and what's going on in the world right now. But honestly, I don't really want this podcast to be that. I don't want it to be that kind of podcast. Um, I don't know. I don't want to say that I want this podcast to be like an escape necessarily, because I do talk about some serious stuff and some stuff that might stir up emotions and things like that. And that's fine. I don't see I'm okay with that. But I don't know. It's all of the stuff with politics is pretty inescapable right now. It's kind of suffocating, which is by design. But um, I just don't feel like I need to be another voice in that and like add to that kind of the confusion of chaos that's already going on. Um, I do just want to say I am currently working on taking my own advice when it comes to minimizing um, my kind of constant access to current events. I am I've started watching PBS NewsHour most evenings. It's on every single night. It's free. You can watch it on YouTube, and I'm sure you can watch it on other things. But I really enjoy it. My wife and I really enjoy watching it because it's kind of like it's a recap of what's going on, right? Like the highlights of what's going on with politics and all of that stuff. Um, but their delivery, like it's a non-biased news source, um, and their delivery of the news is almost kind of like boring. They don't sensationalize anything. It's just giving you the facts, um, which is just, it's a nice breath of fresh air, honestly. And so I've been enjoying watching that and using that for like where I get news that has been verified and we know that it's accurate and all of that stuff. I'm exploring some other kind of ways to get my news in like kind of a more distilled, accurate way. And I just really encourage that you do the same. I'm learning now that it's so easy. This is so apparent to me now, compared to any other kind of political cycle in the past. But it's so apparent to me now how quickly things can move, and then also how quickly we can get information that not only maybe it hasn't been verified yet, but also it's so difficult to discern what is like an urgent thing that you need to worry about now versus what is something that could take months, if not years, to actually come to fruition. So like if I'm scrolling on Reddit and I see a post talking about trying to make it so that same-sex marriage is illegal again, you know, of course that's on the chopping block with this administration. But just because bills are being proposed to do that, or just because there are rumblings about it, in the Senate or the politics or whatever, that doesn't mean that it's like about to happen. It doesn't mean I need to be doing whatever I can to prepare for my marriage to be nullified. Yeah, it's just we're hearing things at all stages, and it's coming at us from a bunch of different directions and from different sources with different agendas that want you to be feeling different things, right? So just something to keep in mind. Not everything is as it seems, and not everything is like actively currently happening just because it's being reported on. Okay? Something to keep in mind. I just realized that my pop screen, is that what that's called? My pop screen is facing the wrong direction on my mic, so that's cool. I don't know what I'm doing. It's fine. But I'm hoping we'll pivot from the politics talk, because like I said, I decided against dedicating an entire episode to that. I don't think I have anything to contribute to that discussion aside from talking about ways to maintain your mental well-being during this time, potentially. So maybe I'll talk a little bit about that. But either way, you don't need to know my opinions about what's going on right now. I'm sure you can guess how I might be feeling. But blah blah blah. So something that I am also really considering doing when it comes to this podcast, I don't know, I think it can make it a lot easier to consume podcasts when they are edited to a certain degree. Like, I like to edit out if there are too many ums or too many pauses in between my words. I like to edit that out, and it just seems a little bit more polished. But the process of doing that is kind of exhausting. I'm kind of over that. And so I don't know, maybe I'll play around with not doing that as much and kind of see what happens. We'll see. We'll see. Let me know what you think, if you hate that or love that. There, a couple of years ago, whenever I was a learning and development trainer, I had someone who was in one of my onboarding trainings tell me. So whenever I was a trainer, I was like, I would mask a lot. I masked, it was like I was kind of like a robot whenever I would train, and it was hard for me to kind of showcase my personality. But that being said, I did have someone point out to me, they said that my cadence, the way that I spoke, they thought that it was reminiscent of Emma Chamberlain, which, like, I'm not trying to also say that that's the case. I'm not saying I necessarily agree with that, but I like ended up looking her up after that, and I took it as a compliment, essentially. And I've noticed that a lot of her content is literally like stream of consciousness. There's no rhyme or reason. And some of my favorite podcast creators are like that. So I like her style. I love Brittany Broski. Her content might not be for everybody, but I adore her. I think that she's great. And her stuff isn't super edited. And so, yeah, I'm just like leaning into that. I want this whole process to be really simple for me. Cause then I'll actually keep doing it. I'll actually keep up with it. Right. So that's one of the ways I'm hoping to do that. Anyway, so a couple of things I wanted to talk about today. First thing, I saw my therapist last night, and we've been talking a lot about politics, and how that's having an effect on my mental health, in a negative way. And last night, whenever we met, we talked a lot about essentially me making an intentionally trying to focus on what I have actual control over, right? So I have no control, broadly speaking. I have no like direct control when it comes to anything that's going on in politics, right? Like, sure, I can write to my representatives, I can like email, call, whatever. That, first of all, is very intimidating, especially considering I'm in Texas. All of my representatives are drinking the Kool-Aid, so to speak. So it really feels futile. It feels especially futile here. So I'm definitely not trying to say that that's an easy thing to do, but it's something. It's not nothing. There are protests going on all over the world. Don't know if you knew that, but they're going on all over the world, and it's, anti-Trump administration protests and anti-fascism protests and those types of things. So that's another way to get involved, I guess. But I'm just kind of feeling things out, trying to figure out what is within my comfort zone, because this isn't all about my comfort. But if putting myself in certain situations proves to be, super anxiety inducing, I need to find other avenues, right? So whatever. So basically, where my head's at right now is I would like to dedicate more time to finding volunteer opportunities, either in my town or in Austin. I know that there are lots of opportunities out there, so that's kind of one avenue I would like to explore, especially something that's related to like gardening. Like anytime I've had to do, I would just call it volunteering, but anytime I've had to do community service, because your girl has been in trouble a few times, to say the least. But anytime I've done any sort of volunteer work or community service, it's usually been like the coolest kind of opportunities I can find, like gardening related, helping tend to like there's a wild flower center in Austin that I did community service at, and that was super cool. And then the Mexicart Museum, which is also in Austin. They have a lot of Mexican art, and it's such a cool place. I got to do community service there. And so even just talking about this, I can feel myself getting excited about the idea of volunteering. So just kind of want to put that out there as like, you can say a lot of different things can be an act of resistance. Like experiencing joy can be that, helping others can be that, being a lifeline for other people, educating other people, making sure that they know their rights can be an act of resistance. Volunteering, giving back to your community, building community, blah, 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 all these things. It doesn't just have to be protests. It doesn't just have to be, calling your state representatives. There's like, get creative with anything else to try to find something that feels fulfilling and appealing to you, because you're more likely to actually do it, right? Like, I can talk about calling my senators all day long. Have I done it? No. You want to know why? I'm scared. I'm a fraidy cat. I don't want to talk to those people. If I'm being completely honest, I don't want to. So yeah, I mean, ultimately I plan on at least like sending emails and saying something. But anyway, I know I'm not the only person feeling this way. So if you're feeling this way, feeling like helpless or hopeless, know that you're not alone, please. Please know that you're not alone, and please know that all of this hateful rhetoric that's coming out right now, that's not reality. Like, it's the reality for some people. Some people hate people that are already marginalized. Some people genuinely have a lot of hate in their hearts, but that doesn't mean that that's the majority. I do not believe that that's the majority. Even the people that are like spreading a lot of hateful rhetoric right now, a lot of them don't even know what the fuck they're talking about. They don't even know what the fuck they're mad about. Okay? So just please know, like, there are more of us that are good, that have your back, than there are in the other camp. Okay? Just a quick reminder about that. So I'm in the midst of trying to focus on what I have control over and spend a lot less time on things that I don't have control over. So as much as you can do that, please do that. As much as you can minimize your social media or doom scrolling, or as much as you can get your information in like some sort of a container that feels safe, reputable, whatever, do that. Do that, please, for your own good. Listen to people that you respect and trust talking about current events. Like AOC is a good one. I love hearing Pete Buttigieg talk I have a Bernie Sanders tattoo. If you're watching the video of this, it's on my arm. You can see it. It's not like hidden. I've had that since 2016. So anytime Bernie Sanders is talking, I'm trying to listen. So yeah, just like find sane people to talk to and listen to. I cannot recommend that enough. I can't. You can't just wallow in this alone because it's already isolating. You can't. Anyway, okay, I keep going back to this. Moving on. So I wanted to mention that some therapy stuff. And then also I posted about this on LinkedIn today, and I feel I like this topic. And that's the topic of laziness. Have you ever heard of it? Of course you have. So I am of the camp that believes that laziness isn't real. So Dr. Devon Price, wrote the book Unmasking Autism, but they also wrote the book Laziness Does Not Exist. I highly recommend both of those books. I'm going to repeat them. Dr. Devon Price wrote Unmasking Autism and Laziness Does Not Exist. They also wrote Unlearning Shame, which I haven't finished, but I do have that book. And yeah, so basically, if you're listening to this and you especially have ADHD, which it's likely that maybe you do if you're watching or listening to this, you probably have been called lazy at some point in your life, I would guess. If you're autistic, that could have also been the case. If you have chronic illness, that could be the case. If you're neurodivergent in any way, shape, or form, maybe you've been called lazy at some point in your life. This is the fact that laziness doesn't exist is a hill that I am fully willing to die on. If that's something that my clients or that listeners of this podcast can take away from their interactions with me, like I'm good. I'm solid. If that is a takeaway that you can get. Because it's bullshit, like if you think back to all the times either you were called lazy or you thought to yourself, I wish I could do XYZ. God, I'm so lazy because I'm not doing it, right? We've all been there. But if you actually think back on those times and you consider what were you going through at the time? What were you experiencing? How were you feeling? Were you overwhelmed? Were you burnt out? Were you depressed? Were you in the throes of a substance addiction? Were you, did you hate your job at the time? Were you completely by the time you got off work, you were completely depleted of all of your energy and attention? It happens to the best of us. Were you experiencing grief or loss and you were struggling to get certain things done? What were there emotional or mental or physical barriers keeping you from doing the thing that you should or were supposed to do? I would be willing to guess or bet that you were probably going through something at that time. And so to just take, somebody's label calling you lazy at face value or to really internalize that label, it's not doing anybody any favors. If you ever jokingly call somebody else lazy, I don't know, just might be a good idea to kind of take that out of your vocabulary if you can, because it's bullshit. If if there is a legitimate reason why you're not able to accomplish something, what is bullying yourself going to do in reality? Like, think about it. What is being mean to yourself? Has that ever gotten you anywhere? Like, sure, maybe you can guilt yourself into doing something or stress yourself out enough to like knock something out. More than likely, that hasn't been the case. So calling yourself lazy hasn't actually allowed you to accomplish anything. I just find that you will get further along with self-compassion always, 100% of the time. That's my opinion. So the next time you're struggling to do something, I'm just going to encourage you, think back to this podcast episode and think about what could be making that thing feel insurmountable. Maybe what is it about that thing, or what is it that you're experiencing that could be making this difficult or impossible to do? Because if you're struggling, and again, if you're listening to this, I'd be willing to bet you're either currently struggling or you know the struggle that I'm talking about. Especially in this day and age and with current events, we're all completely inundated with information. We're all stressed. We're all overwhelmed. A lot of us are burnt out or close to that. And just being like giving yourself grace and kindness, like who does that hurt? Honestly, who is that hurting? Just you being like nice to yourself. It's not hurting anybody. And if somebody wants to pretend like you skipping a shower an extra day is like somehow ruining their life, they need to get over themselves. Okay? Like, whatever. I just think it's so frustrating how much people will put on other people just to try to make themselves feel better, just to try to make themselves feel like, oh, the reason that person's not doing XYZ, it's just because they're lazy. Good thing I'm not lazy. I would never not do that thing. Bullshit. All of it's bullshit. Nobody's better than you. You're not better than anybody else. We all have our shortcomings. We all have our struggles. Be kind to yourself. And actually, here's a way I can tie all this together. One thing that I like to recommend to my clients, and something that I've learned from my therapist, again. Well, so here, I'm sure that many of us have heard the statistic, which this isn't like a researched statistic. This is more like it's estimated that this is the case. So I just want to point that out there. This isn't like a proven thing, but it's estimated that children with ADHD, and I might argue this applies to autistic kids as well, but children with ADHD receive 20,000, it's estimated that they receive 20,000 criticisms or negative remarks about themselves. That's 20,000 more than a neurotypical child before the age of 10. Okay? Again, this isn't like a proven thing, but this is estimated. And I think that the reason this is quoted as much as it is because those of us who have experienced this fully can recognize that this is the reality, or that like it's believable, right? From our perspectives. So imagine receiving all of the normal criticism that a neurotypical kid might receive, plus 20,000 more criticisms on top of that before you're even old enough to like probably even understand how to process your emotions appropriately, right? So then, and that doesn't stop at 10. It's not like at 10 years old, suddenly everybody's nice to you and they aren't, criticizing you all the time. It continues throughout our lives, but it's also happening when we're extremely vulnerable and young and we're forming our own identities. So, with that in mind, what's one way that you can counter all of these negative thoughts that you maybe have internalized or believe about yourself? One way you can do that is by intentionally like receiving better messaging to replace that or to counter those negative remarks, right? So my therapist is super into affirmations. And at first it seemed like silly to me. I wasn't into it initially, but I found someone who does affirmations videos on YouTube. Shout out to, is it Joseph Stevenson, I believe, or Jason Stevenson? One of those, Joseph or Jason Stevenson. You'll be able to find him if you look him up on YouTube. He does a lot of the I am affirmations, and he'll do like 3-hour long videos. He's got a nice like accent. His voice, his like S's don't whistle. I really like his voice, and that's key, I think, to kind of putting up with listening to these people say these things over and over again, right? But I like to put them on at night when I'm sleeping. You don't have to necessarily be awake to get the full benefit or to get benefits from hearing these affirmations being repeated. So I'll listen to like positive mind affirmations or those health, wealth, and abundance ones that you might have seen here and there. I'll listen to those at night. I don't even have to do anything. I don't have to, that's not work. I'm sleeping. I don't even know, but it's still helping to reprogram my brain. So that's one thing. And then something that I kind of realized with my therapist when we were talking last night is that the first thing I do in the morning is scroll. I don't know if I'd say doom scroll, but I at least get on my phone and I check social media, and I'm bound to run into news or information that is not like filling my cup, right? It's not the best to be hitting me with first thing in the morning. So my therapist was suggesting, well, if you listen to these affirmations at night, why not consider intentionally listening to them in the morning too? Why not? Right? So I'm starting to do that. Today was my first day doing that and like prioritizing that. And yeah, I'm not going to say it's some sort of a miracle cure. Nothing is. But I am going to say that it can't hurt, okay? It can't hurt. Are you feeling desperate? Try it. Try it. Okay? Let me know what you think. Let me know what happens. Let me know if you hate it, if you love it, whatever. It can't hurt. I can guarantee you that. You're not going to feel worse after listening to affirmations. So whether you do it at night while you're sleeping or you do it first thing in the morning, like I'm trying to implement, I just really recommend that because I need to be getting as much positive messaging as possible right now, just for my own mental health, just for my own well-being, right? And you need that too. I know you do. I see you. I don't actually see you, but I see you. I know you. I know that we all need this and would benefit from this. So just a couple of things. Yeah, I just wanted to talk about a couple of these things, just some maybe ways to reframe um, how you're feeling or reframe what's going on at the moment. But yeah, we'll keep it, we'll end it right there. Um, as always, I so appreciate anybody who's listening to this. I appreciate anyone who comments on my stuff. I appreciate anyone who's following my podcast or following me on social media. I appreciate anyone who likes and subscribes and all of that business. It means a lot for me to have an outlet like this and for me to be getting this positive messaging back to kind of remind me why I do this. It's incredibly meaningful to me. So if you're listening to this, thank you very much. I love y'all. You're great. You're amazing. And yeah, I just am wishing you only the best. I really, really am. I'm really trying to send positive energy into the universe so that that can come back to me and come back um to the people that need it right now. So, happy Black History Month. Go buy stuff from Black business owners. Go pay Black people for their services, please. Um, yeah, listen, study, like learn about Black history, teach people about it if you know about it. Um, we're not gonna be defeated. And I'm using the royal we because I'm talking about any of us who are feeling destabilized right now. We haven't been defeated yet. I don't believe that that will happen. I can't. I can't believe that that will happen. And so, yeah, just try to fill your days with as much joy and positivity as can be mustered. Mustard. Is that right? Anyway, thanks again for listening. Love y'all. I'll see you next time. Take care of yourselves. Bye.